To me, what the Democrats are not doing with this is leading. The energy in their parties with the young people who learn everything about Israel on TikTok. They don't know shit. And their leaders are not standing up and saying, kids, you don't know what's going on here. Every war Israel has fought is a war of defense.
Right.
Every war, they were attacked first.
The kids don't know shit, Bill? Or is that you? Time for a debunking. Let's look at Israel's wars, because Israel's fought a lot of wars. But let's just take a look at three of the major ones. Who started them? First off, 1956, the Suez Crisis, also known as the Second Arab-Israeli War. Israel, Britain and France colluded together to invade Egypt and to try and topple President Nasser. Israel attacked on October the 29th and Britain and France joined 2 days later. Now, the Israelis always say that any war they start is a defensive war, a preemptive war. But we actually know that Israel, France and Britain got together to plan this war of aggression a week earlier in Sèvres, France. Even super partisan Israeli politician and historian Michael Oren admits that then Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion's plan in 1956 at Sèvres was for dividing Jordan between Israel and Iraq and Lebanon between Israel and Syria. It was a war of conquest, not defense. Israeli Colonel Mordechai Baron, who took notes at the Sèvres meeting, was embarrassed by what he heard. He later said the Israeli, British, French plan was, quote, more fitted to the kind of imperial discussions which took place at the end of the Great War and was totally out of place, he said, for the post-World War II era. Hey, Bill, it was an imperial war that Israel started in 1956. Number two, let's go to 1967, the Six-Day War, the conflict that opened the door to Israel's illegal occupation of the West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights, the longest ongoing military occupation in the world. Israel attacked Egypt in June 1967 before expanding their attacks to Syria and Jordan. Now, the standard Israeli narrative is that this was a preemptive war, that President Nasser of Egypt had mobilized his forces in the Sinai, kicked out UN peacekeepers, and was about to attack Israel, and that the Jewish state's very existence, as its then Prime Minister Levi Eshkol claimed, hung on a thread. But that was all bullshit. Egypt wasn't about to attack Israel. Don't take my word for it. In 1982, the Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin admitted, and I quote, "In June 1967, we again had a choice. The Egyptian army concentrations in the Sinai approaches do not prove that Nasser was really about to attack us. We must be honest with ourselves. We decided to attack him." Did you hear that, Bill? In 1968, a year after the Six-Day War, Israel's own military chief, General Yitzhak Rabin, who went on to serve as a Nobel Peace Prize-winning Prime Minister of Israel, he told a French journalist, and I quote, "I do not believe that Nasser wanted war. The 2 divisions he sent into Sinai on May 14th would not have been enough to unleash an offensive against Israel. He knew it, and we knew it." But Bill Maher doesn't seem to know it. Multiple other Israeli officials have said the same, by the way. In the years since, one of the top Israeli generals who pushed for war in June 1967, Matityahu Peled, later said that all the talk of a threat to Israel from Egypt was nothing but a bluff. Israeli wartime cabinet minister Mordechai Bentov later confessed that this whole story about the threat of extermination was totally contrived to justify the annexation of new Arab territories. So no, the Six-Day War in 1967 wasn't a preemptive war, it wasn't a war of self-defense, it was a war of aggression and occupation by Israel against its Arab neighbors, again. And finally, number three, let's go to Lebanon. 1982, Israel launched an illegal invasion of southern Lebanon, killing thousands of civilians and kickstarting its 18-year brutal occupation of that country. Now you might say, well, they were fighting Hezbollah, but Hezbollah didn't exist until Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982. Oh wait, but there was the PLO before that. There were Palestinian terrorists in Lebanon. In fact, the Israeli military says on its own website that what they called Operation Peace for the Galilee was launched on June the 6th, 1982, following a terrorist cell's failed attempt to assassinate the Israeli ambassador to the UK. Well, here's the slight problem. That terrorist cell wasn't from the PLO. It wasn't an assassination attempt ordered by Yasser Arafat or anyone in Lebanon. It was from the Abu Nidal organization based in Saddam Hussein's Iraq. The Abu Nidal organization that was a sworn foe of the PLO and whose leader had even been sentenced to death in absentia by the PLO. But as Israel's top general in 1982 sneered at a cabinet meeting on the eve of invading Lebanon, Abu Nidal, Abu Shmidal, we have to strike at the PLO. To be clear then, Israel used that assassination attempt on their ambassador in London to illegally invade and occupy Lebanon, which had nothing to do with it, and they did so not for self-defense or security reasons, but because they wanted to take out the PLO And because, as historian Zachary Foster pointed out in a recent piece for Zeteo, the Zionist movement has wanted to expand Israel's borders into Lebanon for over 100 years. So that is what Israel does. That is what the historical record shows. Israel attacking its neighbors, attacking Arab countries without justification and in violation of international law. And they're doing it again, right now, to Iran. When Bill Maher says the kids don't know shit about the history of Israel's wars, it's pure projection on his part. Every war they were attacked first? Shut up, Bill.